I would like to ask, what type of music do all of you listen to?
Classical.
Okay, thank you. I agree with you actually. But I wouldn't be surprised if the answer to this question for many of you was pop. And that makes complete sense, because pop music is so catchy. It has catchy melodies, catchy lyrics, catchy everything. And as you're about to see on this graph, pop music actually takes up more than half of the total genres of the Billboard Hot 100. But I want to bring this back for just a moment. I want to talk about my own personal experiences. So hi everyone, my name is Joe, and I love music. And the people at TED asked me why I'm qualified to talk about pop music and other genres of music in such a way. I am a seasoned musician. I have 2 performance diplomas in the piano, and I hold the principal cellist role in the Selangor Symphony Youth Orchestra. I have been composing and transcribing for essentially as long as I can remember, and I also had rigorous vocal training when I was young. Now, the reason why me and so many other musicians are alert towards music is that it's so easy to express something using the medium. So, to really explain this, I'm going to use this concept which I'm going to call human expression. So, I'm going to play something. And this is a song that you would hear pretty normally on special days. So I'm sure you all know what that song is. That's the happy birthday theme. But you've likely only heard it in a joyful and happy context. Well, I want to recontextualize. I'm going to play this with a few different emotions. And while I'm playing, I want you to think about what emotions I'm trying to convey at that moment. Now, notice how when I was playing, I did not utter a single word. And that is the power of music, because I was able to make you feel the emotions of joy, sorrow, anger, fear, and finally, just maybe, a bit of hope at the end. But I feel that pop music is diminishing in this, as well as many of its related genres, but mostly pop. I feel that this is not in the content of pop music, but rather in the way that the pop music is actually made. I have many gripes with this. And to explain this, to explain why we are going backwards after a millennia of development, why in just 50 years we have lost this human innovation, I want to explain this with one very simple buzzword: technology. I feel that technology has overall had a detrimental impact on the music industry. So to explain this, I'm going to use a very simple analogy, which I've called the 3 Gs. You've gotten the 3 Ds today, now you have the 3 Gs. 1 G for gratification, 1G for Glitzing, and 1G for genuinity. But let's dive a bit deeper. What do these 3 G's actually mean in this context? First of all, gratification. This means to give someone pleasure or satisfaction. So as we all know, we live in a very fast-paced world, a world where people don't have time to listen to a 30-minute symphony. Instead, people will listen to what gratifies them in the fastest and shortest way possible. To prove my point, here is a graph. It's a graph of pop songs from 1958 to 2019. The white line displays the song length, whereas the green line represents the tempo. So as we can see, we reach a peak in 1992, but directly after that, that starts going down. The song length decreases from 5 minutes to 3 minutes. In a similar way, we can see that the green line tends upwards, meaning that the tempo is gradually increasing. So what do we see from this? We see that people want short and fast music to gratify them in the shortest and fastest amount of time possible. As a result, people will start closing themselves to different genres. They will start to stick to that one genre of music that works so well for them. And artists know this because artists are smart and they want the big bucks. Therefore, they start to churn more of the same formula out again and again and again and again and again. Because they know that it works. They know that it's what gives them money. So what do we get from this? We gain a stifling of human innovation, and in the same way, we gain a stifling of human expression. Now let's look at glitzing. Now, you probably have not heard of this word before, and to be honest, I didn't either until I started doing research for this very talk. Glitzing means to make something glamorous or showy, but in a very superficial manner. Now this to me explains the state of modern music actually quite well. But to really delve deeper, let's go back 200 years ago. Take a look at this man. You probably have no idea who he is. But to us pianists, his face strikes fear into our very hearts. His name is Franz Liszt. Now Franz Liszt was the titan of the piano. He could do anything. He could compose, he could transcribe, he could improvise, he could do anything. But one notable thing that Liszt did actually was he invented the very notion of the piano recital. Yes, those recitals that your parents probably forced you to go as a kid. So Franz Liszt had a philosophy which, pardon my French, means le concert c'est moi, which essentially means the concert is me. Liszt believed that if he poured his heart, his blood, sweat, and tears into practicing for a performance, the audience would reciprocate that with affection and appreciation. Liszt believed that the human should be the centerpiece of the performance. And this does not just apply to solo performance, of course. This also applies to things like orchestras and chamber groups. They would practice for hours upon hours on end in order to get that shining diamond of perfection. But if it didn't produce a perfect effect, so what? Because we're all human at the end of the day. We're only human after all. So therefore, if we make mistakes, that is completely fine. That is what makes music human. But now let's look at modern music. First of all, there are a lot of things that distract listeners from what they're actually listening to. Things like pyrotechnics, things like dancers, things like simple lighting rigs are all examples of things that do add to the overall experience, but detract from the audio experience, from what we're hearing. So yes, it may benefit the technology industry, it may benefit the pyrotechnics industry, it may benefit the dance industry, but it is detracting in the music itself. Similarly, the music itself has faded in terms of how it's made. Take a look at autotune. You do not need to be an amazing singer in real life. You do not need to practice 10 hours a day in order to get a perfect performance. Because now all you need to do is apply a few effects onto it, and boom, suddenly you get something that's awesome, that's Grammy-worthy. Same thing for instrumentalists. Instrumentalists can fix wrong notes, they can fix wrong rhythms, they can fix anything in post. To an extent, they can even do this live, which means that concert performances sound very much like their studio counterparts. So what we start to lose is a lack of actual human talent. And even though this may create a perfect shining diamond, as I said before, is that really human? If we look at the art of nature is in all of its beautiful imperfections as well as its exceptions. The same thing goes for music. Music's humanness lies in the mistakes, lies in the imperfections. And it's very ironic that digital audio workstations, they actually give you the ability to humanize these recordings. They actually have this button that you can toggle where you can offset a few rhythms or you can change a few notes slightly off in order to make your music sound more human. So once again, we start losing this value and aspect of human expression. Now let's move on to our third and final G, genuinity. Now this one is the one that I feel is the most relevant in today's world. And this is because this point is related to artificial intelligence. Yes, that word which you have heard more than 20 times today, which was already talked about in the previous speech. And I want to build upon that. The previous speaker, he said that artificial intelligence is not going away anytime soon. And that is completely true. I agree 100% with that. Now, artificial intelligence is much like a vending machine. You put a few coins in, and out pops something simple, something for consumption, such as a bag of chips or a can of Coke. So, in a similar way, I could write me a sad song on a happy day, on a sad day. Write me a happy song for a competition. Write me an inspirational song for a TED Talk. AI can do essentially anything, even though this talk is written completely by me, do not worry. Now, the thing about artificial intelligence is that it is so accessible nowadays, because anyone can use it. So as a result, this is where I believe the turning point of music is going to be. Recorded music and performed music will slowly begin to fade. Why? Let's look back at my first G. If you all remember, gratification. Now, if people want to gratify themselves in the shortest amount of time possible in order to fulfill their emotions, they are not going to sift through endless amounts of playlists and songs in order to find that perfect song which encompasses their emotions at that given moment. Instead, what they will do is they will go to the AI and they will type in their personal experiences, they will type in their emotions, and out it spits something which will instantly gratify the listener. And this really terrifies me. And it terrifies a lot of people too. It terrifies people in the music industry. Because an indie filmmaker, they won't have to pay money and spend precious time talking to an artist in order to make a soundtrack for their movie. Instead, what they're going to do is they're going to put it through an AI, and the AI will spit something out for $0. Same thing for people who write things like elevator music, like generic music. This is all pay the bills work. But yet, this is going to be easily replaced by artificial intelligence. And a lot of musicians are scared, yes. They are very, very, very scared. Yet, as you can see, 71% of musicians already use AI, or at least they plan to, in music production. But, this is very important. Only 48% of those people could ascertain that they would be transparent. The remaining 52%, no, they would just not tell. They would keep it a secret. Because even though these artists say, oh, artificial intelligence is bad, behind everyone's backs, they use it anyway. So it is this combination of the machine slowly but surely replacing the man, and the lack of transparency surrounding artificial intelligence use, which is leading to this detrimental impact. So if we link back to our overarching theme of the day, which is technology's detrimental impact on the music industry. We have these three G's, which I've been talking about, which consist of a G for gratification, a G for glitzing, and a G for genuinity. And when you put these three G's together, the chain reaction of disaster is now complete. That was Beethoven's Fifth Symphony, his Fate Symphony, his F-A-T-E Symphony, not faith, Fate. And in a similar way, I feel like this is where music is heading. Music is heading towards carbon copies. Music is heading towards stifled innovation. And this E right here, you see, this E represents to me exploitation. It represents the commercialization of music. It represents companies exploiting artists for their talents and artists exploiting their users for money. It is an endless cycle of money making. But I do not want to end this talk on a dark note, because I still feel like there is human innovation out there, and that lies within the smaller artists. That lies within people who are still endlessly innovating. And it also lies within the people who still use technology to complement the man instead of replace the man. Just look at things like hybrid pop and electronic dance music. They are examples of using technology to make sounds which humans cannot achieve through any other human means. And this is what I want to leave you all here with today. It is that the next time that you are having an average casual listening session, I want you to not seek instant gratification. I want you to seek that human touch. I want you to scroll all the way down your Spotify playlist until you find something new. I want you to try that new artist that you've never seen before, an artist that has zero or little to no plays. I want you to seek that human touch. And while you're doing that, I want you to remember there is an infinity of music out there waiting to be discovered. Thank you.